In a quiet village near the hills of Nazareth, there lived a boy named Amos. He had no family, no home, and no name that anyone remembered. People passed him by as if he were part of the dust that clung to the road. He worked in a carpenter's shop, sweeping floors, cleaning tools, and watching from a distance as others created beauty with wood. He never complained, but at night, as he lay beneath the stars with an empty stomach and a heavy heart, he whispered to the sky, "God, I don't need gold. I just want someone to see me." Days passed. Weeks blended into months. Amos remained invisible to the world, his spirit quietly hoping. Until one day, everything changed. A traveler arrived in the village. His eyes were calm, his smile gentle, and his presence felt like the morning sun after a long night. He wore simple clothes, but there was something extraordinary about him. He came to the carpenter's shop, asking for a few wooden planks. Amos, as always, offered water to the stranger. The man accepted it with gratitude, then looked directly at him and said, "Thank you, child." No one had ever called Amos that before. No one had ever looked into his eyes as if he mattered. "Are you a king?" Amos asked with curiosity. The man smiled and replied, "No, but my father is." Over the next few days, the traveler returned, but not for wood. He came to sit, to talk, to ask about Amos's life. One afternoon, while the shop owner was away, the man sat beside him and asked gently, "Why do you hide your light?" Amos hesitated. "I have nothing. No family, no purpose. I'm just here." The man nodded thoughtfully, then said something that would stay with Amos forever. "Even the smallest star lights the sky, and even a forgotten boy has a place in God's heart." Amos looked at him with wonder. "But why would God care about someone like me?" The man didn't respond right away. He simply reached into a cloth bag and pulled out a small wooden cross, smooth, simple, and carved by hand. He placed it in Amos's palms and said, "Not because you earned it, but because you are loved. Keep it close. And one day when the world tries to tell you you're nothing, remember who gave it to you." Before Amos could ask his name, the man stood, smiled one last time, and walked away. Years passed. Amos grew into a man. He became a carpenter himself, not to build riches, but to repair broken homes, mend ruined chairs, and build shelters for the poor. People began to speak of him as the kind carpenter, not for what he owned, but for how he loved. He kept the wooden cross by his side. Whenever he doubted himself, whenever the world grew cold, he would hold it in his hands and remember the words of the traveler who had once seen him. One cold evening, a young orphan girl came to his shop, shivering and hungry. Amos gave her bread and warmth. Then he reached into the same old cloth bag and handed her the cross. "Someone once gave this to me when I had nothing," he said, "and it changed my life. Now it's yours." "Who gave it to you?" she asked. He smiled softly. "A man who wasn't a king, but whose father is." That night, the stars above Nazareth seemed to shine a little brighter. And deep within that small village, the love of Jesus, passed from one heart to another, lived on. Moral of the story: Jesus doesn't look at what you have. He sees who you are. Even when the world overlooks you, He calls you by name. And with His love, the smallest life can leave the biggest legacy.